You walked into the kitchen, you had a reason. It was a good reason you had it 4 seconds ago. It was the only thing in your head, and now it's gone. Completely. Like it was removed. And you stand there, looking at the fridge, waiting for your own brain to give you back a thought it just deleted in front of you. That has a name. It has a very specific name and a very specific cause, and it is not that you're tired, and it is not that you're getting old. That's the thing about your brain. You think you're the one using it. You're not. You're a passenger with surprisingly limited access, and every so often the system does something in full view that reveals just how little of it you're actually driving. 10 names today, and I'll be straight with you about 2 of them. Numbers 6 and 7 are the ones that are going to bother you because they're not glitches that happen to you. They're differences that have been sitting between you and the people you love your entire life, and there is no way to see them from the outside. And then number 10. Number 10 you did this week. You did it and you didn't notice, and when you hear what it actually is, you're not going to love it. Let's start with the kitchen. It's called the doorway effect, more formally the location updating effect, and it's beautifully literal. The doorway did it. Your memory is not one big warehouse. It's chunked into event models, bundles of context. I am in the bedroom. It's morning. I am doing the getting dressed thing. My charger is downstairs. That whole package is loaded and held together, live in working memory. And your brain uses environmental boundaries to decide when one event model ends and the next one starts. It has to. Otherwise, your entire life would be one undifferentiated smear, and you would never be able to find anything in it. A doorway is the cleanest boundary that exists. So when you physically cross a threshold, your brain goes, new room, new scene, new context, flush the buffer, load the new one. And the intention, go get my charger, which was sitting in that buffer, gets swept out with everything else. Not because it's unimportant, because it was in the wrong container when the container got emptied. Researchers tested exactly this in virtual reality. Same distance walked, same task, same memory load. But half the participants passed through a virtual doorway, and half didn't. The doorway group forgot more. It wasn't distance, it wasn't time, it was the door. Which is why walking back into the original room genuinely works. You're not retracing your steps in some vague folk wisdom way. You are reloading the context that the memory was filed under. The memory was never lost. You just walked away from its index. And here's the real kicker. This is your brain working correctly. This is a feature. The chunking is what lets you have an organized life at all. The forgetting is the invoice. So be honest. What's the longest you've stood in a room with absolutely no idea why you were there? Seconds. I want the number. You know the word. You know it starts with a B. You know it's 3 syllables. You know it's got a hard sound in the middle, and you know it's not the word your friend just suggested. You can describe the thing it means in perfect detail. You cannot say it. Tip of the tongue phenomenon. Researchers call it a TOT state, which is delightful, and which I refuse to stop saying. Here's why it's more revealing than it looks. It proves that a word's meaning and a word's sound are stored in different places connected by a link that can fail independently. You retrieved the concept successfully. That part worked perfectly. That's why you can describe it, gesture at it, define it. The link out to the pronunciation is what dropped. So you're standing there holding the idea of a word with no way to pronounce it, which is a genuinely strange thing to be holding. And there's a trap in it. If a wrong word keeps surfacing, researchers call it the ugly sister. It actively blocks the right one. Because every time you rehearse the wrong one, you're strengthening the wrong path. You are, with real effort and total sincerity, making it worse. The harder you try, the more you reinforce the road that doesn't go there. Which is exactly why the answer arrives 20 minutes later, unprompted, in the shower, when you've stopped caring. You quit reinforcing the wrong route. The correct one finally got a turn. And these get more frequent with age, but not in the way people fear. It's partly just volume, more words known. More links to maintain, more chances for one to hang. Is there a specific word that gets you every single time? Mine's colander. Every time, for 20 years. What's yours? Everyone knows this next one, at least by name. Déjà vu. French already seen. That eerie certainty that this exact moment has happened before. The leading theory is that it's a filing error. And to understand it, you need one strange fact. Your brain stores memories, and it separately generates the feeling of familiarity. Those are 2 different systems. Familiarity is a signal, a flag. Normally, the flag gets raised when memory retrieval fires, and the 2 arrive together, and you experience, I remember this. But occasionally the flag fires on its own, with nothing behind it, and that leaves you with an overwhelming, physical sense of having lived this exact moment before, and zero content, no details, no memory, just the label, floating free. That's why you can never say what happens next. People always try. Nobody can. Because there's no memory in there to consult. There's only the sticker your brain accidentally slapped on the present moment. But it has a twin, and almost nobody knows the twin's name, even though you felt it. Jamais vu, never seen. The exact inverse. Something completely familiar suddenly becoming alien, and you have felt this. Guaranteed. Take a common word, door. Write it or say it over and over. Around repetition 30, it stops being a word. It becomes shapes, meaningless lines. You will actually start doubting the spelling of a word you've known since you were 4. That's semantic satiation. A small, safe dose of jamais vu, but the real version happens mid-conversation, mid-drive, mid-life. People look at their own hand, their own street, their own partner's face, and for a few seconds, the recognition simply isn't there. The information is intact. They know all the facts. The familiarity flag went down. So, déjà vu is a false positive, jamais vu is a false negative, same broken switch, opposite directions. And once you know that switch exists, once you know that this is familiar, is a feeling your brain generates, not a fact it observes, it's very hard to fully trust it again. Every time something feels familiar, that's a flag being raised somewhere. Same flag, same mechanism, same one that misfires. What word breaks fastest for you when you repeat it? Mine's spoon. Try one right now, and tell me how many reps it took. Play enough Tetris, and you'll start seeing the blocks when you close your eyes. Falling. Rotating. You'll look at a supermarket shelf and start fitting things together without deciding to. That's the Tetris effect. And it's not about Tetris. It's about any intensely repeated activity bleeding out of the activity and into your perception of everything else. Sailors step onto solid land and feel it swell under them for days. Divers see fish in their peripheral vision. Chess players see the board on the ceiling. People who spend a weekend on a jigsaw start seeing edges in the carpet. And anyone who's ever worked a till for a summer knows the specific feeling of scanning items in a dream. What's actually happening is overnight maintenance. During sleep, especially in that hazy zone right as you're going under, your hippocampus replays the day's patterns to consolidate them into long-term storage. It's writing to disk. And if you spent 8 hours doing one specific thing, that's what's queued up, so you're watching your own filing system run with the lights on. You were never supposed to see it. You just went to bed early enough to catch it. And now the footnote that makes this one genuinely eerie. Researchers ran this with people who had severe amnesia, people who could not form new long-term memories. These participants played the game and then could not remember playing it, didn't recognize the researchers, had no idea why they were in the building. They still reported seeing falling blocks when they closed their eyes. The memory of playing was gone. The pattern stayed, which means whatever this is, it's happening somewhere underneath the part of you that remembers being you. What's given you the Tetris effect? Game? Job? Hobby? What did you do so much that it followed you into your own eyelids? Okay, first of the two I warned you about. Do this with me right now, properly. Close your eyes. Picture an apple. Now did you see it? An actual image. Color, shape, light on the skin, a stem. Because here's the thing that some of you are about to find out at, age 34 in a YouTube video. Some of you saw a photograph, genuinely, a picture, in color, that you could rotate. And some of you saw nothing at all, blackness. You knew things about an apple, red, round, shiny, stem on top. You could have described it, written a paragraph about it, drawn it from knowledge, but there was no picture. There was never a picture. If that's you, you may have aphantasia, no mind's eye, somewhere in the range of 1 to 4% of people. And the reason this one lands so hard is that most people with it don't find out until adulthood because they assumed picture it in your head was a metaphor. That's the whole thing. They spent decades thinking everybody else was speaking figuratively. That counting sheep was a joke. That visualize your goals was a turn of phrase. That nobody was literally seeing anything. And on the other end, hyperphantasia. Images so vivid they're nearly indistinguishable from actually looking at the thing. Same instruction, same words, wildly different inner worlds. And that's the part that should genuinely unsettle you. You can spend 40 years next to someone you love. Same language, same phrases. Picture the beach house, you both nod. and one of you is seeing a photograph and one of you is seeing absolute darkness, and neither of you will ever find out, because there is no way to look inside someone else's head and compare. The only reason anyone ever discovers this is by accident, in a conversation, in a comment section. So let's have the accident. Rate your apple, 1 to 5. 1 is total blackness, nothing at all. 5 is a photograph you could count the highlights on. Just the number, nothing else. Let's find out what this audience actually is. Second one. And it's the same problem from the other direction. Some people's senses are cross-wired, consistently, involuntarily, for life. Synesthesia, around 4% of people. The most common form is grapheme color. Letters and numbers have colors. The 7 is green. It's always been green. It'll be green tomorrow. And that's not a preference, it's not a mnemonic, it's not a thing they decided. It's automatic, and it's stable, which is exactly how you test for it. Ask a synesthete what color their 7 is. Come back a year later, no warning, ask again. They match themselves with over 90% accuracy. Now take a non-synesthete, tell them to invent colors for the digits, and test them a week later. They're nowhere close. They can't remember what they made up. The synesthete isn't remembering. They're looking. Other forms are stranger. Tasting words, an actual flavor, in the mouth, at the sound of a name. Seeing music as shapes and colors in space. Feeling that Tuesday is physically located up and to the left of you. Perceiving the number line as a physical object laid out in front of you at a specific angle, which, I want to be clear, a lot of people have and assume is normal, and have never mentioned to anyone. And the leading theory turns the whole thing inside out. We may all be born with excess cross-connections between sensory regions. Infants might all be synesthetes. And in most brains, those connections get pruned in early childhood, trimmed away, as the senses specialize and separate. In synesthetes, some of them just survive the cut. Which means this might not be an extra ability bolted onto a normal brain. It might be that everyone else got trimmed. Synesthetes, what color is the number 4? Post it. Everyone else. Read those replies and try to sit with the fact that they are not joking and they are not being poetic. Right. 3 more. Faster. And I'm going to be honest with you, I saved these 3 for last on purpose because the first 2 are the ones you'll text somebody about, and the last one is the one that's going to sit with you for a while. Number 8. There's a song in your head right now. There might not have been 30 seconds ago, and there is now because I said that. Earworm. The clinical term is involuntary musical imagery, and roughly 90% of people get one at least once a week. And here's the mechanism, which is much better than songs are catchy. Your brain hates an open loop. Give it an unfinished pattern and it will keep the pattern active, running in the background until it gets closure. It's the same reason an unfinished task nags at you and a finished one evaporates from your head instantly. So the songs that get stuck are almost never songs you just heard all the way through. They're fragments. The chorus you caught in a shop. The 8 seconds you scrolled past. Your brain got a piece of a pattern, and it does not have the ending, so it runs the piece again and again, looking for a resolution you never gave it, which means the actual tested fix is exactly what you'd never think to do. Listen to the whole song, beginning to end, close the loop, and your brain drops it because there's nothing left to solve. The other tested fix is a moderately difficult puzzle. Anagrams, specifically. But the difficulty has to be dialed in too easy and the song comes right back, too hard and you give up and the song comes right back. It has to occupy exactly the part of you that was humming. Number 9. Look at a clock with a second hand. A real one, or the one on a train platform. Look away. Now snap your eyes back to it. The first second is too long. It hangs, it's frozen, and you've assumed for your entire life that you just happened to catch it at the start of a tick. You didn't. It happens every time. It has a name, Chronostasis, the stopped clock illusion. Here's what's going on. When your eyes make a fast jump, a saccade, your brain switches your vision off. It has to. Otherwise, the world would smear into an unusable blur every single time you glanced anywhere, and you make several of these jumps every second. But you never experience a gap. You never see the blackout, because when your eyes land, your brain takes that first clean image and backdates it. It stretches it backward in time to cover the hole. It fills the missing footage with a still frame and stamps it with an earlier timestamp, so the second hand isn't frozen. That first second is genuinely, measurably longer in your experience than the ones after it, because your brain padded it out to hide the edit, which means your visual experience of reality is not live, it is a cut. Your brain is removing footage, patching the seam, and never telling you. And the only reason you ever catch it is that a clock happens to be an object that keeps honest time and your brain doesn't. And number 10, you've driven somewhere. 20 minutes, 30, an hour. You arrive, and you have no memory of the drive. None. You don't remember the turns, the lights, the other cars. You changed lanes. You made decisions. You handled everything correctly, and you cannot recall a single second of it. That's highway hypnosis, also called the time gap experience. And you almost certainly explained it to yourself as, wow, I zoned out, that's scary. But that's not what happened, and the truth is worse. You weren't unconscious. You were fully awake, fully capable, responding to everything, because the driving was being run by automatic procedural systems that don't need your narrator. That part's fine. That part's genuinely impressive. What didn't happen is that your hippocampus never bothered writing any of it down, because episodic memory, the memory of events, of your life as a story, is expensive, and it's selective, and it fires on novelty, something new, something surprising, something that broke a prediction. And that drive broke nothing. You'd done it 400 times. There was nothing in it worth the storage, so the memory isn't lost. It was never written. Those 30 minutes were lived, in full consciousness, by you, and they were not recorded, and they are gone in a way that nothing can retrieve, because there is nothing to retrieve. And now the question you can't unask. That's a mechanism. It's not exclusive to driving. It runs on every routine you have. Your commute, your shower, your walk to the same shop. Sunday. How many hours of this week did that happen to? And here's the horrible symmetry of it. You can't count them. There's no record. The system that would tell you how much of your life didn't get saved is the same system that didn't save it. That's why people say the years go faster as they get older. It isn't that time speeds up. It's that novelty drops off, and the writing slows down, and a year with less written in it is a year you have less of. So, 10 names. And the point was never the trivia. It's that every one of these was happening for years before it had a word attached. It was real the whole time. It just wasn't sayable. And things that aren't sayable don't get compared. And things that don't get compared you assume are universal, or you assume they're only you. And you're wrong either way, and you never find out. Which raises the obvious question. How many are still on that list? How many things does your mind do that nobody's named that you've never mentioned to a single person because you assumed everyone did it, or you assumed nobody did? That's the comment I actually want. Not the apple, not the song. Describe the thing your brain does that you have never found a name for. The one you've never said out loud because it sounds insane. Because I read these. And I'm fairly confident that somewhere down there, two strangers are about to find out they're not the only one. Oh, and this was only half. There's a whole other category. The ones that aren't in your mind at all. They're in your body. The jolt that wakes you as you fall asleep. Waking up unable to move, with something standing in the doorway. The bang some of you hear at night that isn't there. Why brain freeze hurts in your forehead when nothing cold ever touched it. That video's on screen. See you in there.